Hello all, this is CA Balaram Vuchidi. I am a founding partner of Spectrum Auditing and SBC Tax Consulting. So we welcome you all for this corporate tax filing series. In this series, we are going to talk more about corporate tax filings, in particularly about the transfer pricing, compliances, international taxation related matters, and some of the important aspects of the corporate tax filings. So along with me, I have my partner CA Naveenkumar, who is also going to talk more about the corporate tax filings and related matters. Hello, Naveen.
Hi, Balaram. Thank you. It will be a pleasure today to have this discussion with Balaram. So let's begin.
Yeah. So Naveen, just would like to understand your thoughts on what is all about corporate tax, just for the viewers to understand some of the basics. What is all about the corporate taxes in UAE and how is it perceived by the industry in general?
So just to give very, very basic stuff, I'm sure most of the audience is already aware of it. Corporate tax was brought in by the UAE after VAT regulations were brought in 2018. Corporate tax regulations were brought in the year 2023 for all the accounting years beginning from 1st June 2023. And as we know, there are two rates under the corporate tax. One is the 0%, which is applied to mainly qualifying free zone persons, and the other one is 9%, which is generic and applicable to most of the other businesses. Now, there is one important point which I want to highlight is that corporate tax is applicable to all the businesses. Whatever kind of businesses you are doing, it is applicable to them. Yeah. Even to certain individuals, it is applicable. We will discuss in detail. So, which means whether you are a LLC, whether you are a sole establishment, meeting some criteria, whether you are a partnership firm or whether you are an unincorporated partnership, corporate tax is equally applicable to all the businesses. The rate of corporate tax, which is at 9%, however, the government has been lenient, and what they have done is they have given a threshold of AED 375,000 of net profits. Yeah. What does it mean? It means that if your net profit is, let's say, 400,000, so on the first 375,000, you do not pay any tax. I repeat, you do not pay any tax. The tax which you pay is only 9%, let's say, for a general business on the remaining 25,000. So this is very important that overall on the corporate tax, there is a threshold of 375,000 until which there is no taxes which is applied.
Yeah. I think you also brought up one important point that every business and every individual who is conducting business,
correct,
they are expected to file the corporate tax return.
Absolutely.
In fact, they are expected to register for corporate tax and then file the corporate tax returns also.
Definitely.
So this is one area where some of the businesses, which are small size businesses,
yeah,
some of the individuals who conduct business but do not file their returns or register for corporate taxes, they are not aware of it.
Correct.
So it is very, very important that if you are doing business, it is important for you to look at whether is it required for you to register for corporate tax and then comply with filing also or not.
Yes, it also brings to one of the most important point which I want to highlight is in the UAE, as we all know, the UAE market or the tax landscape has evolved in the last 7 or 8 years. Yeah. After VAT regulation came in. So there are, historically people have their own ways and means of doing businesses. So earlier I spoke about unincorporated partnerships. Yeah. Now, what does it mean? It is very important. There are many ventures where people just come along and they start doing businesses. So the regulations or the corporate tax regulation has clearly spelled out that if there is a profit which is above, let's say, AED 1 million and if the taxes are applicable, then to those individuals who are part of that partnership, they need to definitely look into that if they are breaching those thresholds, they must comply, which is, i.e., again, as you mentioned, they should register and then they pay the taxes accordingly. Yeah. So this is one of the important areas where people are perhaps not focusing that much. Similarly, as the revamp of or as the jump on the e-commerce businesses, there are many freelancers, there are many individuals who do not have a business license, but they are running a handsome business where the turnover could be more than $1 million They are also making good amount of profits. However, they have not even considered themselves to register and pay taxes accordingly.
Yeah.
So this is one of the important areas. The taxpayers or the businesses as well as the individuals who are conducting business activities, they should definitely look into that, and if needed, of course, ask for a seek for help from the tax advisor.
Correct. Yeah. So one more thing is that UAE has been considered as tax-free country for many years.
Yes.
So that is the reason why a lot of businesses across the world, they used to come here and then set up their business. But now because of corporate tax, earlier we had value-added tax, now we have corporate tax. So what do you think? UAE has still been considered or being balanced as a less taxed country? How are they able to balance this between taxes and then attracting and retaining businesses?
Right. No, it's an important point. I think they have struck a very good balance. The international appeal to the investors and to the businesses has been kept intact. And this is what we have seen in the last 2 years after the advent of corporate tax also. There has been umpteen amount of new businesses, new investors who have come in. Yeah. And obviously they are aware and they know that there is a 9% tax which they have to pay. So this brings to an important point, the 9%. Now, as you know, under the OECD environment, 9% is the least corporate income tax rate by any country. Yeah. And as we have also discussed earlier, Hungary is the only country which has 9% of corporate income tax. So the UAE has brought really a very low corporate income tax rate. Secondly, what it does. So it does two things. It creates that credibility that there are taxes, there is a supervision, there is an authority which is overseeing the businesses. So that brings more confidence into the investors, and the investors think accordingly. So this is one. Secondly, the rate of corporate tax is 9%. So they have struck a good balance. And at the same time, what they have also done, they have been always lenient about ease of doing businesses and bringing new provisions, new regulations. So government has looked at that. And at the same time, in order to make sure that people do not flout with the regulations, they have got stricter rules also within the tax law, like transfer pricing, arm's length principle, which we will discuss in detail, which is applicable if you want to opt for 0%. As I mentioned, there is a concept of qualifying free zone person, which if you qualify, you do not pay any taxes. I repeat, you do not pay any taxes on your qualifying income. So now, in order to balance that, the government has brought thin capitalization system. The government has also brought the QFZP rules, and the government has also brought the transfer pricing rules within the tax regulations. Yeah. So that's how they have struck a very good balance, which gives you a liberty to operate, pay the relevant taxes, and at the same time, what you do is you create a robust governance infrastructure.
Yeah. And one important thing is that, yes, so there are two categories of businesses or investors. One who is already having business in UAE, running their businesses for years. Other category is the ones who are coming from outside to UAE to set up newly. So the problem will be only for those businesses which are already set up in UAE, who were enjoying the benefit of zero or no taxes. For them, 9% they may think or consider as a burden on them. But for businesses who are coming from outside, they must be coming from some country where you already have corporate tax rate which is much higher. For them it is always lesser and then easier to come here. So that's the perception difference that we have between these two categories. People who are already here in UAE running businesses for many years, they will have to get used to it. Otherwise they cannot change or move to another country where most of the countries, as you mentioned, they already have been having the corporate taxes which are much higher rates.
Yeah.
So that's the difference that we also need to look at.
Correct.
And so coming back to the corporate tax law related.
However, Balaram, I'll just stop you for a minute. See, there is an important point which I think the existing businesses also should think about or should look at. See, when you pay 9% tax, there are a lot of indirect benefits which you are getting. Now, we have seen the humongous amount of growth which has happened in this country in the last 2 years or 3 years after COVID, let's say. There has been a great opportunity to grow your businesses. There has been a multifold, increase in the investments which is coming from the other countries. So thereby, even the existing businesses which have been in this country, they have got a great opportunity because they have been always in this landscape. And by virtue of that, they have definitely grown their businesses. So there are a lot of indirect benefits of this 9% corporate income tax, which existing businesses should consider when they are making the decision. Though, yes, I agree that earlier they were not paying 9%, now they are paying 9%, but there are a lot of indirect benefits.
Right.
So, a company or a business should definitely look at that.
Correct. So Naveen, coming back to the law, since you mentioned that every business is expected to submit or register for corporate tax and then file the corporate tax returns. Now, can we also talk about the deadlines to file the corporate taxes?
Sure.
Or corporate tax returns?
Yes. So, as most of the audiences would be knowing, but just for the benefit of everyone, the general deadline is 9 months after the completion of the tax year or the tax accounting year. It is exactly after the 9 months
Within 9 months.
Within the 9 months after the completion of the accounting year. So just to give you an example, let's say if the business has an accounting year between January to December of a particular year, let's say 2024. So for that business, the corporate tax return will have to be filed before 30th September 2025, which means the business has 9 months to make sure that their books are completed in a proper manner. They have followed all the rules. They have prepared themselves for the corporate income tax, and then they file the return. Let me also tell you one more point after this. There is no concept of advance tax here. There's no concept of withholding tax here. So what happens is what you are paying to the government is after the completion of 9 months after the accounting year. Within the period of 9 months after the completion of your accounting year, you pay the taxes as and when you file your return. So the government has given enough liberty to the business to be prepared completely and then file the return.
True. So since the period is clear now, so what are the penalties if someone is not able to file the corporate tax returns in time or not able to make the payment of the tax due?
Right. So broadly, I would say there are 3 types of penalties I want to discuss. One is before even filing the return, there is a late registration penalty.
Correct.
So the government has already, or the tax regulations have clearly prescribed the deadlines and the timelines by which, if a license has been issued based on those dates, there are certain timelines which has been already prescribed. If you do not register within those dates, then the late registration penalty is AED 10,000. However, the ministry understood that this will become a burden to the taxpayers, and especially because this is the first year. So what the ministry has done is whoever was penalized for late registration, let's say if they file their returns before 31st July of this year or 30th July of this year, then those penalties will be waived. So there is
within 7 months of
within
the
7 months
first
of the
tax period.
Yes, first tax period, which is this year we are talking about, and after that obviously it will be regularized. So that has been a benefit which the government has given. So one should definitely look into that and take the benefit. I think the deadline is coming very soon.
Yeah, for most of the businesses.
Most of the businesses, yes, you're right. And other than that, the penalty for late filing is either AED 500 or AED 1000, depending on the timelines.
Yeah.
There is a third type of penalty which is predominantly available or there in most of the countries, which is if you do not pay your taxes on time. So there is a penalty of 14% per annum on the non-payment of tax. However, it will be charged on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So 14% per annum is the interest, let's say, on the amount which you do not pay to the
Penalties,
government, penalties as a penalty. However, it will be charged on a monthly basis. So for example, let's say if you are late by 1 month, you would be charged a pro rata of the penalty at the rate of 14% per annum.
True. So that is the reason why it is important for all the business people, taxpayers, make sure that they are filing the corporate tax returns in time
Yes.
and making the payment in time to avoid these penalties.
100%.
Yeah, great.